And now, more You Talk. Now.
Hey, are you guys ready for a great show? I'm Steve, and today it's going to be crazy fun. We're talking about voice acting, singing, and an animation nerd. She is amazing. She is talented, incredibly creative. She's a great friend. Wait until you hear her voice and all the cool stuff she does. Hey, Laci, great to see you.
You too.
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, thanks for taking time. Laci, welcome to Utah. This is so cool. We've been talking about this for how long?
Oh, boy, quite a while. Every time we meet up at conventions and stuff, we say, we should do this.
I know, really, it's crazy. And we didn't get to go to those conventions that we normally would this year, you know? But you're here on Utah, and that's the most important thing. Okay, now, we're going to jump right in. Give us an idea. I mean, what is it you do? Okay, you've got this amazing voice. You're creative. You're talented, and all of those cool things. But what is it you do?
So technically, I refer to myself as a voice actor.
Okay.
Because that's basically what I do. I act with my voice. So a voice actor is anybody who uses their voice to advertise a product or play a character or just tell stories. So all of those things.
All of those things. Okay, so what is the difference between a voice actor and an actor? Are they one and the same, really, or?
Yeah, and a lot of them blend. The biggest thing I say when you want to go into voice acting is to study the acting, because you can have the greatest voice in the world, and if you read it a monotone or you can't follow the direction of a script, motion, it's not going to work very well for you. So the acting is the important part.
The acting is it. And we're going to get into some of the other stuff, the singer, and of course, I definitely want to talk about the animation nerd that I see on some of your stuff on social. But go back. I mean, you just didn't wake up one day and say, okay, I think I'm going to be a voice actor. Take us back. I mean, when you were little, did you sing into your brush, and did you act in front of the mirror and stuff?
I think my parents probably knew what I was going to do for a living before I did.
Oh, how fun.
They told me a story how in kindergarten, my teacher was reading us a Scottish fairy tale.
Okay.
And did it in a Scottish accent. And I came home and recited it to my parents in a Scottish accent.
Oh. How cool is that? Okay, so when did you start? Did you act in junior high and high school, college, that kind of stuff? I would assume so.
Yeah.
And of course, I know a little bit of the background, but it seems like you would have.
Yeah, choir, theater, all of that stuff I loved doing, but it was just kind of a hobby for some reason. It never occurred to me that I could act for a living, I guess.
Okay, sure.
So my dad actually worked for a video game company. It was computer games at that time called Sierra Online.
Okay.
It was hometown, and they made all sorts of computer games like King's Quest and really well-known stuff. And so I got to see him work on all that and hire the voice actors and the animators. And so I was always sitting right there enjoying it. But again, it never occurred to me I could do that for a living. So I focused my career goals on animation. So playing the characters. So after high school, I went to art school, majored in animation, and I loved it. You know, I worked at Disneyland for a while, teaching people how to draw Mickey and his friends.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I love creating characters, but there was still something not quite right. So I started freelancing and doing animation for clients, you know, commercials and things, and doing my own little drawings and cartoons. And they started asking me if I could provide voices for those cartoons. And, you know, wanting to save some time and some money and things.
Sure.
You know, I can do a few of those, and I'll pull my husband in for the dad voice. That'll work. He acts as well, just kind of for fun. So it worked out. But I did that. My first client, it was for a cartoon kids pajamas commercial. And he's a mom and a narrator and a little girl. So I said, sure, I'll do that. Did the animation. He raved about it and said, you know, you really ought to look into doing this professionally. You're pretty good at it. And so I thought about it and realized how much I enjoyed it and started researching like crazy, everything I could get my hands on, blogs, books, started going on forums and asking questions to people that were in the industry and learning as much as I could. And I realized it was creating the characters through acting that I really had the passion for, not drawing them in quite as I thought. So it was interesting how I transitioned over to that.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, so what is one of the early voice acting projects that you did? Okay, you made this transition from animation. Then what was one of the early things you did?
Some of the earlier ones, I did one for Nintendo where it was like a tutorial for one of their games. It didn't end up actually coming out, so I was bummed about that. But just the fact that somebody like Nintendo would hire me kind of gave me confidence to keep going and going,
sure,
I can do this. I did a commercial for Nordic Naturals, which is like a supplement company. And it just started snowballing from there. Once you get a couple of clients like that under your belt, it gave me a little more credibility to keep working consistently and helped. So, yeah.
We've got a question from the audience. Have you done some dark animations?
Well, most of my stuff, I stick to pretty, family friendly. I have a princess voice. Let's admit it.
That's true. Very true. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to typecast you.
I tend to be pretty picky about what I take on, but I have to say it is fun playing villains. I didn't realize how fun that is. Okay,
so there's that underlying villain in Laci that we don't always see come out. How fun. See, we're sitting here laughing about this because you've got to have just one of the best jobs with all the cool, fun stuff you get to do.
It's awesome. It's a challenge, too.
Sure.
Times I've learned I need to baby my voice a little bit more.
Okay.
Or I get really hoarse. Like when we go to conventions or parks for the day, I get home and I'm really gravelly the next day. And that causes a problem if you've got a session schedule.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, is there in what you do, is there a part of this that it sounds to me like you like it all. Okay. You enjoy it all. It is work, but it's fun work, but it's creative work.
Right.
It's challenging work, I would think, because of different voices you have to. By the way, how many different voices can you do, or is it kind of endless?
Honestly, most of the voices that I'm hired to do are pretty close sounding to what I am naturally.
Okay.
So, for example, I've done a voice match for Twilight Sparkle in My Little Pony, and she sounds pretty close to me anyway. So it wasn't much of
Well, I can't say that I recognize your voice from that because My Little Pony is just not one of those things that, I find myself often doing.
I'll clarify. I'm not the original. I was just hired to match her for a couple of smaller projects, but that's fun.
That is. So your voice opportunities projects tend to lean that direction then.
Yeah. They tend to cast close to my natural sound, or I also get hired a lot to play kids.
Okay.
Hard to hire real kids because, a lot of times they can't read very well. They're really young, or their voice changes if it's a little boy. But if you get an adult woman that can do a little boy's voice or a little girl's voice, it stays pretty consistent. So that happens a lot.
That is amazing. It's just, I'm sitting here because it's like the ultimate creative job, but it has to be a challenge, in what you're doing. Has COVID affected your work at all?
Just in the sense, I tend to record from home often. I have a big blue box behind me that I call my TARDIS. Booth. So that's where I do most of my work. And luckily, you just email the file. So a lot of my clients are remote anyway. There have been a few instances when I do ADR, which is replacing dialogue or dubbing.
Okay.
For example, I did one for Netflix recently where it was a foreign film, and they hired me to play some of the English characters.
Oh, fun.
Something that's very difficult to do from home.
Uh-huh.
You have to see the video in front of you and kind of do it in real time.
Yeah.
So even during the COVID stuff, that requires you to come in. So we had to be really careful with the studios, making sure everybody was following protocols.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only person in the room. And so that's been interesting, not going places to record and getting to see people at the desk and things like that.
Yeah, it's such a different time, a different world. Lately, what are some of the other projects? This Netflix with dubbing in English. What are some of the other projects, if you can talk about them, that you've been working on lately?
Yeah, that's the hard part. Most of my stuff is under NDA, so I can't talk.
Let's go back to some of the recent projects that are no longer NDA.
Okay. So some of the ones that you might recognize my voice from is there was a toy that was pretty popular a year or two ago called the Rapples from Little Live Pets. And it's basically this little, it's this fuzzy little creature that sits on your wrist like a bracelet and chatters at you and raps and sings. And I play the blue one and one of the pink ones.
No way.
Yeah. So,
what is that like to go into a store and you just pick this thing up and you hear yourself? I mean, what is that like? That's so cool.
I was so excited. I kept checking Target and GameStop to when they came in. I've seen them a lot in GameStop.
Okay.
Gaio is the one that I did. And it's cool. I went up and bought it. And, Josh is going, hey, my wife did the voice. And the lady's like, uh-huh. Sure she did.
Did you stand there and do the voice for her? Like turn it on the toy and then do it,
It's a creature, so it's kind of a little like you can't mimic it.
Oh. I guess every project is different. So I would assume you're under a time limit when they contact you and say, okay, you have, and I guess the time would be different for each project. But have you ever had that situation where this just isn't coming? I know what it needs to sound like. I know what, but it just isn't coming. It's not like that, like writer's block. I get writer's block. And it's like, I know what I want to say, but I can't. And all of a sudden it's just like it explodes open. Have you ever had that?
There have been times, especially when I'm doing audiobooks, that I get kind of stuck and like, I just can't figure out this character's voice in my brain. It's not coming out the way I want it to. But then whenever I'm doing animation or character work, a lot of the times you just have to go in there not thinking about it. I mean, if you're thinking about how you sound, you're not acting the character.
Okay, so true.
If I put myself in that character's shoes, I'm just going to try whatever comes to mind. And often those are the best takes when I really let it go and don't get in my head too much.
So for those of us that have not done this, although off the record, I do want to, and you and I have talked about this before, I want to, now that I have my demos and things and I'm getting my studio ready, I want to start doing it. But they give you guidelines, like when you get the script or whatever, they say this is an 8-year-old girl with a Scottish accent or whatever. Is that, am I getting close to it? Now, you just said something, characters in books. So when you do an audiobook, are you doing different characters in that book? Is that a requirement? Those
are some of the biggest challenges for me. That's why I rarely take on audiobooks. You're basically acting out an entire movie yourself.
Oh,
every single, even if you're not full on doing a character voice, you have to distinguish between, okay, now the woman's talking, now the man's talking, and then dialogue goes back to back. You have to make your voice sound different. So it's a challenge.
Wow. I never thought about that because I always hear people, people I've talked to that have encouraged me to try this and see what happens. I'm thinking, books is supposed to be, audiobooks is like the bread and butter and, okay, I'm reading a book, kind of a thing, but it's more than reading a book.
You want to make it come alive for the listener.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, somebody in the audience just sent a question. Have you done adult animation before?
No, I generally stick to the small little guys, the kids entertainment and things like that. I have gone out for a few pilots for the adult animation, the type of things like Family Guy. I think I'd qualify as adult animation, those types of things.
Okay, yeah.
Popular right now, but I generally decide to stay more on the kids and the family entertainment.
Well, then it really is within acting. I mean, you look at certain actors and you expect them to play certain parts in certain films, TV shows, whatever. So the same is true. What you're saying, I think I'm hearing you, as a voice actor, you're known in the industry
you build
as, you build that up and you're kind of the go-to person then for that particular project.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that means you have people that represent you and all that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah, I have agents in different areas of the United States because different areas put out different things. LA Nation and New York has something different. Colorado has something different. Texas.
Oh, interesting.
There's all sorts of different genres in VO, so it's cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So have you done commercials as well?
I've done a few. I haven't been as successful with the commercials because right now, my voice style is not necessarily in. A couple years ago, everybody wanted the, Kristen Bell, happy type sound. Mm-hmm. Now, it seems like the trend is everybody wants a deep, warm, older, wiser type voice.
Oh, interesting.
All the specs that are coming out lately, and clearly that's not me.
No, it isn't. It's
right.
I mean, I could think of myself maybe as the deep, I don't want to say older, wise, kind of a thing. So that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Now, I mean, before we lose track of time, I think this discussion begs to hear, if you're willing, some of your character voices.
Oh boy, let's see. Well, like I said, most of them are pretty close to me. You're hearing it right now.
Okay, we're hearing it now. All right, forget it. Okay, we're going to move on.
If I do character voices like for kids, I'll just kind of pitch my voice up a little bit like, Mom, would you tell me a story? Things like that make it kind of breathy. And that would be a little girl. I'll add a little bit of grit. If it's a little boy voice, I probably do a lot of toys like this. So those are some of the character voices I use a lot. One of the ones I'm known for is Shadowverse. It's a mobile card game, and my character, Eleanor, is the one I play. I love this. And she is really full of herself. So she has a line about like, watch me bloom because I am the cosmic flower. And so it was so fun to play that. It's kind of like so into herself princess.
Oh, I can see you doing. I mean, this is so fun. And okay, I'm sitting here thinking you have fun at what you're doing, but you have to work at what you're doing. Is this one of those jobs too where you get done doing this and it's like, oh, I'm tired?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because it takes you, because you're up. It's like being in front of a crowd in one sense, but you've got to be up. You've got to have that energy, whether it's a slower type of approach or whatever. But you have, but you have to have the energy. So you get energized doing it, I assume, but you're also spending energy.
Very true. Yeah, I'm actually an introvert.
No.
I know, right?
Really?
But I love to perform. I love to act and play characters. But then when I'm done with that, I like to just be home and read a book. So when I'm doing my characters, it's my chance to kind of get all that energy out. And when it's, video game sessions and things like that, one thing I hadn't realized when I got into all this is that you have to do the exertion sounds too. So if you're, say you're dying in a video game, you've got to do the, I just got shot kind of thing, or, I just stabbed you with the sword. And doing that take after take can get a little tiring.
I guess. Hey, how are you doing projects daily, or do they kind of come in bunches?
Yeah. It's kind of like you said. Yeah, it comes in. Sorry, I apologize. I have a new puppy too, so you're probably hearing his voice in the background.
That's all right.
I'm just so talented. I can do dog voices.
Oh, amazing! I just thought that.
But, It's kind of, well, like any kind of freelance job. There are times when you get nothing because there's not a lot of, ads or pilots being created. Mm-hmm. And then other times, like this last week, I had nothing and then got 3 or 4 projects all at once that were rush jobs. Like, okay, well, today. And those are the difficult times.
I was going to say, that's got to be tough because it's one thing to get one rush job, but then you got 3 or 4 and it's like kind of drop everything else. And that's hard to drop everything else, Oh, wow. I mean, that's crazy. Now, I want to come back to the voice acting, but I do want to ask you about singing because, I mean, you're a singer.
Yeah. I've been singing since I was very little and watched The Little Mermaid. I would rewind that videotape and mimic her and do, so that's always been a big passion of mine.
Do you sing in events or plays or musicals or all of the above?
For a while when I was in college, I did a lot of musical theater, but I am almost 6 feet tall. So if you can imagine in musical theater, that translates usually to age. So a lot of roles that were well suited for me, and I can't dance for anything. I crash balls, so I don't get to do it often. But voiceover, they don't have to see me.
That's right. All right, tell us if somebody is in the audience right now today. And they're hearing you and they're laughing and they're going, oh, she is so talented. She's so creative. I want to be her, like her. What is it? How do you do that? I mean, how do you get it? I mean, what would you recommend to somebody?
Usually I say first, take some acting courses.
Okay.
I would say start recording yourself often, even if it's just, on your phone or videos type of thing. Listen to the commercials that are on right now. Animated characters that you like and mimic it. See if you can match that same level. Listen back to yourself. Listen to what it sounds like. Oftentimes what you hear in your ears comes across differently when you actually record it.
Absolutely.
Emotions, that study people. And when you're ready to dive into the field more, get some coaching. There are so many great coaches. I take workshops constantly.
Really?
Yeah. It's because you got to keep up on your skills. You got to keep up on the trends. And it's good networking. You get to meet people that oftentimes a lot of things that I can't voice, I will pass along to colleagues of mine that I know could fit, and vice versa. So,
very cool.
Jobs often.
It's the networking, it's building that community and sharpening your skills. So basically, it's you start practicing, recording yourself, and then I would assume you look for opportunities to maybe do a project. Whatever it happens to be,
your own project. There are people that create, fan fiction type things and are casting for some free projects just to get experience. That's something you could do. But take classes. There's some great places. I like taking them at, there's a place called GVAA that has some wonderful workshops and webinars. It's the Global Voice Acting Academy. So I highly recommend.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I teach a course online too. So if you go on my website, LaciMorganVoiceovers.com, it's LACI, there should be some information there on one of the tabs that I teach an intro to voiceover course.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Give us that website again, and also give us your social so people can follow you and see what you're doing. I mean, because you do some funny stuff, and I mean, you're a funny person.
Things when I can. Yeah, my website is LACI, LaciMorganVoiceovers.com. And I'm on Twitter at LaciGirl, minus the I, LACIGRL. And Laci Morgan VO on Instagram.
Okay, excellent. Let's question at UTalk. We're really big on making a difference. And we live in absolutely crazy, challenging times. And there seems to be this, and of course, that's why we actually started this show on Instagram. was we just felt like we couldn't do some of the normal stuff we'd normally, do, other times. I couldn't be out in school speaking, that kind of thing. So how can we stay in touch with people? And it's been really fun. And we've had just a huge list of very cool guests, including yourself. And I'm glad we finally got you on here. But what's one thing that you could recommend all of us could do as individuals to make a difference in this world? We affectionately refer to it as go mad, go make a difference, change the world. What is something simple or a few simple things we could do that would make a difference? I
would say keep finding the wonder in life. Look for the happiness. Look for things just around you, things like flowers or an animal or things, your kids exploring things and learning about things for the first time. I try to be aware of that, and voiceover has actually helped me in that somewhat. Because
I bet. Yeah.
I have to study them and study the world around me, and it makes me stop and pay attention a little more. So just pay attention to the amazing things around us and experience wonder and creativity. Because
there's a lot of amazing things and amazing people, really, when you take the time to slow down and maybe even with a mask on. I guess the hardest one for me is going into a bank with a mask on. It just, it just doesn't feel right. But, you can have conversation with people and even share that wonder. I mean, because there are some amazing things that sometimes just fly by us. Right. And we have to be intentional about that, don't we? That we'll stop and pay attention and absorb and enjoy. And one of the things I'm hearing from you is, okay, we're in the midst of this craziness, but we can slow it down. Yeah. We can step out of it. We can look at the wonder. Yeah. That's awesome. That is really awesome. Well, I am so grateful that you took time out of your schedule. And we're going to have you on again. We can talk about more projects and go a little deeper in some of these things. But once again, website is?
LaciMorganVoiceovers.com.
And those of you that may be considering jumping into the voiceover world, you've got your courses listed there, and I believe there's samples. Samples of everything or not everything, but some of the things you've done, demos or whatever. And social again
is Laci Girl minus the I on Twitter, and Laci Morgan VO on Instagram.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very much for taking time. This has just been fun. Thank you, and we look forward to the next time we have a chance to chat. Hopefully it's not going to be as long as it's taken to make this happen, but this is great. And keep laughing and keep making the rest of us laugh. Okay, I just love that because I can hear the smile in your voice. You smile with your voice. Laci, thank you very much. Laci Morgan, amazing talent, amazing person, and great friend. Thanks, Laci. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
This is U Talk Radio.